Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Poetically Christian Gamer, and welcome to another edition of Should Christians Play, the series where we go between the ratings of the ESRB to answer the questions: should a Christian play, and is this game accessible for me? Hi, guys. My name is Derek. I'm a legally blind gamer and preacher, and today we're going to be reviewing Street Fighter 4. And we're going to be looking at this game, as always, guys, on two fronts. First, is the game physically accessible for someone low vision or blind, the deaf and hard of hearing, and the motor disabled? And then, of course, on the second front, we're going to look and see, is this game accessible for a Christian to be able to play based on the content that is in the game? If you guys like this kind of thing, we do these every Thursday, Lord willing, at 5 p.m. EST, as a new review will release on our YouTube channel, Poetically Christian Gamer. If you enjoy that, thumbs up these videos. Subscribe to join the PC tribe, and you won't miss any of them. We also do Bible sermons, as I am a preacher. We have Let's Plays and live streams on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays at 7 p.m. EST of both retro and modern games. We do Mortal Mondays, we do Street Fighter Tuesdays, and Free Play Fridays, where we play anything from any era, guys, based on what you vote on our community tab. So if you like all things faith and fun, God and gaming, go ahead and join the PC tribe, guys. You can also join us on Poetically Christian Gamer Twitch, and you can hit the follow button and be notified when we are live. Alright, with all that said and all that out of the way, let's look at Street Fighter 4. This game was released in 2008, originally in the arcades, and it was brought home to your Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and PC, guys. Got an ESRB rating of T14 for animated violence, mild blood, and suggestive themes. Alright, but first of all, let's look at this game for the physical accessibility, and let's jump in with the low vision and blind spectrum, because that's the spectrum I come at things, being legally blind. Alright, guys, so first of all, for the low vision and blind, how accessible is Street Fighter 4? Well, this game has, of course, no menu narration, being, a game from 2008. It's pretty much expected. Accessibility wasn't even on someone's radar back then. But what we do get is we get a nice contrast, on the menus. We have a dark background, and we'll have light writing, and it's decently sized. It's not terrible. I mean, it's fairly decent sized. Of course, it doesn't tell you what mode you select. Some things would tell you what mode you selected even back then. Unfortunately, this isn't one of those games. It just kind of is what it is. You do have... I gotta be able to say it. Alright, I'll show you here the menus. Alright, as you see, we've got kind of like this dark background with white writing, and it's got kind of like a reddish highlight around what you arm that flashes off and on. So it's not bad. The font could be a lot bigger, but it is what it is. It's not the worst I've ever seen, but it's definitely not the best. But it does have nice contrast. When you select something like arcade, it just makes a click. If you go up and down, it just makes a click again. When you select things, it doesn't read it out or anything like that. But there's not a lot of things on this menu, so menu memorization is possible on this game. So the menus, they're not bad. They could be a lot better. Where I think things go wrong is right here. In the character select screen, as you can see, this writing is absolutely atrocious. It's like this cursive writing their name, and it's in this light writing, and on some of the characters, they have a light outfit on, and so it goes over top of us and just muddles and blurs everything together. So for someone low vision, this is absolutely atrocious. Probably the worst character select screen you're going to get on any Street Fighter game ever. And it did not improve with future iterations of this game. If you're thinking about Super Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition, or Ultra Street Fighter 4, it's the exact same. It does not get any better. So if that's a deal breaker for you, I'm just letting you know it is what it is. If you're low vision, you can see what I'm showing on the screen, then you could see how awful this is to read. It's not impossible, but it's rough. Again, you can memorize this roster, but when you select someone, it does not read it out to you. So let's select, a character here. And once you switch their outfits, and then even after you select them, it does not read out who you select. So you don't even have that going for you. So we have virtually no, game narration at all, in or out. You have no voiceover for your roster or character select screen. We have terrible, atrocious writing for the character select screen. Yeah, this is like the low vision and blind nightmare for a Street Fighter game. You can memorize, it's up for 1 for Bison or right for whatever, you can memorize your characters where they are on the roster. This is just the vanilla Street Fighter 4 I've got on. I find that it just gets worse and worse. The more iterations you get, the more characters get added to the game, and the bigger the roster, the harder it is to memorize. So the easiest one to memorize is the vanilla Street Fighter 4. So, it is what it is. So yeah, it's terrible. You can punch up and down the sound and the music and things like that to help you. Once you're in the game, it's not bad. It's a 2D fighting game. Fighting games lend themselves to being very accessible for someone low vision or blind because it's just 2 characters on one plane. You can listen for the attacks and counter, and so you got that going for you. Once you're in the game, you're fine, and once you get some sighted assistance to memorize in the roster where your favorite main character is, you'd be okay. But for a casual, if you're just wanting to play this for fun, you can't see who you're picking, you don't know what you're picking, it's rough. You can't read the character select screen very well. Awful. Of course, we have nothing much to help us from a game from 2008. So I'm going to give this game a D for the low vision and the blind for accessibility. Now for the deaf and hard of hearing, we have just the basic of basics. Subtitles on or off, that is it. It is captioned out, the storyline beats for arcade mode, so that's cool. You can follow along what's going on, and their endings are captioned out. That's awesome. I forgot to mention the low vision and blind. It is at least voice acted, the arcade mode, the story beats, the little cutscenes, they are acted out. So, we don't have to read text boxes or anything like that. So that's one thing going for it. That's what keeps it from getting an F for the low vision blind. But for the deaf and hard of hearing, yeah, just basic C. Gets the job done. Nothing greater than what you would expect, but, at least it's there. It's serviceable. I think C to C- is a fair grade for the deaf and hard of hearing. Now for the motor disabled, not a whole lot of button remapping from a game back then. You can do slight button remapping to here and there. We don't have the ease of controls or the one button supers or specials like you would get in later Street Fighter games. So it's the, OG old school way of doing things for Street Fighter. So going to be difficult. A lot of complicated button presses and inputs to do your specials and all those things. Not impossible, but more difficult for the motor disabled than it needs to be. I'd say it's, standard for the time, but below standard for today's standards. So I'd say C- again is a fair grade for the motor disabled. Now, what about the moral Christian accessibility? If you guys like this, thumbs up this video. It helps me so much if you're getting value out of this and it's helping you. For the moral Christian accessibility, guys, this game, as I said, got a T for teen rating for animated violence, for mild blood, and suggestive themes. And it has those things. I mean, you kind of know what you're in for with Street Fighter. We don't have fatalities or, killing people in this game like you would get in, other series. It's pretty much just two characters duking it out until there's a KO, and then they show the little cutscene of them talking to each other or saying something, and maybe they're a little battered and bruised and bloodied in the picture. Typical Street Fighter stuff. It is inherently violent, of course, being a fighting game. We do have some mild language and profanity and little bits here and there sprinkled out throughout the story. Nothing major, nothing big. I did not catch any blasphemy of any kind. So very approachable in that manner, and the profanity is very, very mild and very, very sporadic. So much better than what we would get in later games such as Street Fighter 6. So in that, from a moral standpoint, this game is probably more approachable than something like Street Fighter 6 as far as not having that extra curricular stuff, and you don't have a whole lot of them talking to each other before the fight and all that kind of stuff, saying stuff you don't want to hear, such as like Yuri, a Jury. She's kind of the bane of Street Fighter 6. For the male and female dress, you do have some shirtless men and some kind of risquely dressed lady characters in this game. As far as wraparounds, you do kind of have like a versus mode where you can play and select who you want to play against. But in arcade mode, you might still see them from time to time, a character that you didn't want. So just letting you know that content is there if that's a temptation for you. That's kind of animated, so it's kind of hard to take seriously or realistically. But if that is a temptation, I'm just letting you know it is in the game. And you can make your own discernment on that as well. So what we've got here is typical animated, cartoony fighting game with some mild stuff in the cutscenes after the fights, as far as blood or anything like that. Nothing in game. You've got the inherent violence of just punching and kicking each other. You do have those risquely dressed men and women characters, but you can't avoid it by playing the versus mode and selecting who you want, but you are going to see them in these character select screens, and if you play arcade mode, you will come across them. It's completely randomized, but you may come across them in your thing. So, overall, I'd say it's pretty approachable. We don't have the blasphemy, you don't have the taking the Lord's name in vain, you don't have the extreme profanity, and stronger language that you would get in later Street Fighter games like Street Fighter 6. So I think this is a more approachable game from a moral aspect than probably Street Fighter 6 is. So yeah, not too bad. I'd say C to C plus is a pretty fair grade for the moral Christian accessibility, just because we do have some wraparounds and it is approachable. We don't have a whole lot going on in this game. So that's my grade as far as moral Christian accessibility. Now, what about how does this game feel? Subscribers always ask me, how does the game look and feel? Well, you've probably seen Street Fighter 4, but if you haven't and you're someone that's wanting to know what does the game look like, sound like, feel like, whether it be physically accessibility wise or from the moral accessibility side of things, I'm going to show you a fight or two here and you guys can be the judge. Let's go.
Hurry up and get me out of here! How long must you keep me in prison?
I'm sorry. Please, just wait a little while longer, Lord Bison. This next body will be even more powerful. It will be able to handle the full extent of your psycho power.
Get me out now! I don't care what body I have to use. Anything will do. It's only a matter of time before I make his body my permanent home anyway.
Yes, sir. You heard him. Get moving. Begin psycho power infusion at once. We're bringing Lord Bison back.
Reminds you of the Green Goblin guys from the original Spider-Man.
Spiders will prove the old
infusing him with all the power.
Now, face the mighty Bison.
The answer lies in the heart of battle.
Who will come out on top?
And you can turn off these dialogues if you don't want to, but there's not a whole lot there, guys. Some weird stuff, I agree with Bison, you know.
K.O.
Oh.
My psycho power knows no limits.
His psycho power knows limit. I like the graphic style of this game. I think it looks cool. It's kind of like the first 3D Street Fighter game. It's kind of cool. Well, I guess technically the EX series was the first, but I don't. Those were kind of ugly games for the PS1 era. This is kind of the first. Oh, legit looking 3D Street Fighter. So that's pretty cool. You can hear what's coming. You can hear the attacks. As you see, you got these little things where they taunt each other. So overall, not bad, guys. I'll show you one more fight here.
Pleased to meet you.
Are you ready?
Pleased to meet you. I like that slide. Slide, slide, but that's the pass. Oh, the axe.
K.O.
Oh. Human garbage. Oh, goodness. It's pretty cool. I like it. I just wish we had better character select screen. I really do. That is the one thing that really holds this game back.
K.O.
Oh.
You win. Perfect.
Perfect. Alright, guys. I hope you like this. And I hope you're able to, gather something from this review. I think it's a cool game. I think it is playable once you get into the game for someone low vision or blind, or the deaf and hard of hearing. We have the subtitles. You got what you need, in this game to be playable. It's just the getting into it for the low vision blind is the hard part. If only we would have had some kind of narration or reading out what we're selecting, or have some kind of way of reading out the character you select in the roster, it would have been so much better. But it is what it is. You can memorize the roster and memorize where your main is. The deaf and hard of hearing, you got all those subtitles as you guys saw. It's playable, and for the motor disabled, it's difficult as well. You have very limited options as far as button remapping and what you can do with this game. Not impossible, but more difficult than it needs to be, and not as easy as later iterations of Street Fighter. So, overall, I'm going to give it a D for the low vision and blind. I'm going to give it a C for the deaf and hard of hearing, and a C- for the motor disabled. And for that moral Christian content, guys, as you saw, pretty typical stuff for, this anime style storyline and fighting type game. Inherently violent, yes, from punching and kicking, but we just KO each other. There's no taking fatalities into play or anything like that in this game. You do have a little bit of mild stuff when they show them getting battered and bruised a little bit. Very mild language in this game. No blasphemy or profanity that I caught in this game. Storylines are skippable if you don't want to watch them. Yeah, and the risquely dressed ladies and male characters in the game can be avoided by playing versus mode, but you will see them occasionally in the arcade. It's not the worst I've ever seen. You know, there's definitely a lot worse fighting game series out there than this, but something in the game, something to be aware of, and if it's a temptation for you or lust, it is there, guys. So overall, I think C+. I think this is more approachable storyline-wise than something like Street Fighter 6, but there's still some hang-ups. We do have wraparounds, but there are some things that are there. So, as I always say, use your own discernment, your knowledge of God's Word, the guidance that you get from the Holy Spirit, and the feelings that you just have within your own heart to decide whether this game is right for you. I just simply let you know my opinions on the game as a Christian and as a preacher, and I let you know what content is in the game, and you can be your own judge, guys. With that being said, this is another edition of Should Christians Play? If you enjoy this, thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel to not miss any of our future reviews, let's plays, sermons, or any of our faith and fun content. And you can always follow us as well on Poetically Christian Gamer Twitch. Hit that follow button and join us in those live streams on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays at 7 p.m. EST live, guys. This has been another edition of Should Christians Play, the series where we go between the ratings of the ESRB to answer the questions, should a Christian play, and is this game accessible for me? I love you, God loves you, and until the next one, guys, best wishes.